Well, joining me now, Rod Wheeler, former D.C. homicide detective. We've got Steve Rogers, former FBI military intel officer. Cathy Taylor, former National Security Council director. And Major General Robert Scales, Fox News military analyst. Guys, the FBI taking a lead in this investigation. We heard from the family's attorneys. Now we're calling it, or the FBI at least calling it, a terrorist investigation. Steve, you've taken this position. You took this position right out of the gate. Everyone's caught up to you. Now where do we go?
All right. Now that the FBI is in charge, they're going to be working in concert with international military intelligence organizations, law enforcement organizations. They've done a superb job. They have kept away from the politics. And something needs to be said in view of this press conference. This is not a war against Muslims. You know, we have good and bad in all groups. This is a war against terrorists. Maybe that's the next thing that the president's going to have to do, is come out and say, this is a war against terrorism. So you could be sure that the FBI now taking the lead, the best law enforcement organization in the world, they're going to get to the bottom of this.
It's interesting. Jeff Locke was talking about the attorneys for the family, for the Farouk family, and James Comey, both sort of saying the same thing with respect to they don't know why. There's a lot of confusion. There's a big sense of confusion if this was traditional, sort of a jihadist sort of assault. Why didn't they take out more people at the center? Why were so many pipe bombs left at the home? What happened here? There's a lot of confusion about this, Cathy.
There may be a lot of chatter and a lot of confusion, but what there's not confusion about is that she proclaimed her allegiance to ISIS right before the attack, and that is typical trained protocol by ISIS. Whether this was inspired by ISIS or ordered by them doesn't matter. It was really, by the definition, the legal definition in our country, an act of terror.
Right, so we've got the terror thing down, but General Scales, I think it does matter to a lot of people, you know, people being inspired but not instructed by ISIS, because for me, that means it's going to be a lot harder to sniff these guys out if they can take this sort of inspiration from acts around the world or whatever they think and then pick indiscriminate targets at indiscriminate times.
Absolutely. Well, I guess the key word here, Charles, is inspire. In fact, their ISIS magazine is called Inspire. In many ways, this is the terrorist light on the hill. This is the great success story in the global jihad. This is the beginning of a caliphate. So whether you're in California or Germany or France or anywhere in the world, you look to the leadership and to the religious orthodoxy to sort of set your course and give you the motivation and the courage to go out and literally commit suicide for what in essence is a terrorist cause, Charles.
Rod, I want to go out to you. You've been out there for a couple of days now. You've done an amazing job. The wife's allegiance to ISIS on Facebook, apparently it happened moments before they went and committed the shooting. So it's kind of hard to say how we could have stopped them via that, although there's going to be some pressure on Facebook and other social media outlets to step their game up. But what have you seen out there? What evidence have you seen, the neighbors or any of their other actions that maybe could have clued us in sooner?
Well, you know, there were a number of neighbors, Charles, that I talked to that indicated that they saw a lot of traffic, individual men coming and going from the garage. I visited the home this morning, the outside of the home, and the way it's set up, I mean, you kind of have to see what's going on over there. So the neighbors were saying they saw these men of Middle Eastern descent coming and going in and out of the garage. So that in and of itself should have been a red flag. But I'll tell you, just like what's been reported, when I asked these people, Charles, why didn't you call the police? Why didn't you say something? Of course, the immediate response was, I don't want to profile. I don't want to be accused of racially profiling. So they didn't say anything. So there were red flags there. The other thing that I think is really interesting from a law enforcement perspective and investigation, you know, were there red flags at the workplace? The building right behind me here where they had the Christmas party. Were there red flags, warning signs leading up to the shooting itself? I suspect there were. The FBI is continuing to do a very aggressive investigation to get as many answers, Charles, as they can.
Rod, I mean, that is the case, because the attorneys for the Farouk family just moments ago brought up the issue of Saeed's beard. You know, apparently he started to grow out, and maybe more than once, it was made fun of at the workplace. In fact, I saw one report, I'm not sure if it's true or not, that perhaps a Jewish co-worker particularly made fun of this. The lawyers seem to be putting that out there now. And so let's say that is the case and that happened. Would a supervisor have seen sort of a dust up? Would there have been something there at the workplace that may have clued someone in to make a phone call?
I think there should have been, and there probably was, and we just don't know what that was yet, Charles. But let me just say this, and this is so important. You know, I've been in law enforcement a long time, and when I got here the evening of the incident, one of the police officers allowed me to take a close look at the actual street where all the shell casings were on the street. I've never seen anything like it before. And then when you look at the carnage that happened at this building right behind me here, this was a serious terrorist attack. And unless we recognize that and unless we address it right away, trust me when I tell you, and I speak from experience, we're going to relive it. This is a major deal. You know, Charles, it's one thing to see this on TV and to read about it in the paper. I've been here, Charles, and let me tell you, I've never seen anything like it.